YouTubers! This question comes from VT. VT asks, what's the differences in sewing machine needles and how do I choose the right one? VT, thank you so much for your question, and that's a very good question because there are many sewing machine needles, there are many sizes, and there's many different manufacturers. So trying to choose the right needle can be challenging. To answer VT's question, I'm actually using a chart because it's easier to explain it. And as you can see, I have 4 different size needles here. You have a 70 over 10, an 80 over 12, a 90 over 14, and a 100 over 16. The larger number are the European sizing numbers from their charts, and the smaller number is the US sizing number. So this number, this means that this is a size 10 needle, this is a 12, a 14, a 16, and so on. And you can even get an 18 needle. Now, a size 10 needle is going to be a thinner needle for sewing more thinner fabrics like chiffons or silks. And your 12s could be some of your cottons that are lighter weight. This is our standard size of sewing, is a size 14. And that's pretty much universal. A 16 is used to sew heavier fabrics like your denims, your leathers, or anything. And our 18, of course, would be even thicker. Then you have what we call the ballpoint needles. And the ballpoint needles come in different sizes also. And here is a combo pack which has a size 11, a 14, and a 16. And what that means is that if you're sewing knits, you want a ballpoint needle that will go into the fabric without snagging or pulling. So these are for your knit or for sewing knits. Then you have your twin needles. You have a 2090, a 2.090, a 3.090, a 4.090, and a 6.090. Twin needles are used for decorative stitching. If you want to use stitchings that you have on your machine, that's what these are for. And the number to the left is the size, the distance in between each of the needles. And I believe these are in millimeters. Don't quote me on that, but I think these are in 2 millimeters, 3, 4, and 6. So that's the difference in the needles. So if you want to be on the safe side, I suggest you get a size 14. And remember, if you're sewing something finer, you'll get a size 10 needle. Now, if you want more information on the actual fabrics that work better with different needles, you can go to my website, www.raylyndesigns, and you'll see a printout where I have some more information letting you know which fabrics work best with which needles. I wanted you to see the whole size. This is just plain copy paper that I've got 2 layers taped together. And I just stitched with the needle without any thread or bobbin in place. And I want you to see the difference in the hole size. So the 16 gives a nice large hole. We can see the 14 gives a large hole too, but it's not quite as big as the 16. But now look at the size 10. The size 10 leaves an even tinier hole than the first 2. Here is a sample of the twin needles. This is a 6.0 millimeter. This is a 4.0 millimeter or 4 millimeter, a 3 millimeter, and a 2 millimeter. And as you can see, each one gets a little smaller. And that's the distance in between the 2 needles. So that's what the twin needle looks like when you sew with it. This is what the decorative stitch looks like if you're using a twin needle. When it comes to determining when to change your needle, I sewed this up so that you could see because I knew this needle needed changing. But as you see, when the needle has gotten dull, you see how you get these pull lines right here? You're getting lines and it's like it's puckering. So it starts to pull the fabric out when the needle is dull and it needs changing. But of course you want to change your needle before you get to that point. But if you start noticing this is happening, this is what you need to do. Of course you can get rid of those by forcing them back out. But the point is, when you start to see this puckering, that lets you know that your needle needs changing. And if you let it get to this point, you can actually ruin some really good fabric. So you don't want yours to get to the point where it's actually dull and it's pulling. And this was just a sample for you to see. Okay, so that's our end of our question for today. And we want to thank VT for asking her question. And you guys keep the questions coming. So until our next episode of the Ask Niler, thank you for joining us and see you next time. Happy sewing!